love letter, or at least a like letter, to the biggest phone on the market, carriers that need to learn a lesson from Cupid, and a keyboard that makes Brian's heart sing. I'm Jessica Dahlcourt. You are joining the Valentine's Day episode of Dialed In. I'm joined in San Francisco by Lynn Law.
Hello.
And in New York by Brian Bennett.
What's up?
And Stephen Beecham is our technical producer.
Hello.
Today's podcast is sponsored by the letter V and by this huge phone.
That is giant.
Did you try
No
it?
way.
I drew
That
it.
looks
I
so
drew it
nice.
on the Samsung Galaxy Note. For those of you who are not watching the video, and then I drew a little Valentine's note to everyone. So a note on the note, and that brings us to the Samsung Galaxy Note. So Brian and I managed to get our hands on a review unit. Now this phone comes out for AT&T officially on Sunday for $300, and we are going to be just looking at every aspect of this. I mean, it's got a 5.3-inch screen. It is big. It is big. I'm holding it in my hand. It takes up the whole of my hand.
That is huge.
It's a little awkward. I found myself adjusting. So it's a little more comfortable if I hold it here at the bottom, but it's one of those things where I think you can get used to it, but a lot of people, a lot of other like reviewers and people who've seen the phone and held it are just like, that phone is stupid big. It's dumb.
It's stupid big.
It's stupid big. Brian and I both have overlapping and yet different opinions about this, but Brian, let's start with you. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I wrote a post a little while ago just saying, okay, here it is. This note is coming out. What do you think? I don't know if I can deal with this. Can I, is it going to replace my tablet, or is it going to replace my phone, or I'm just going to like use one device for both?
Well, of course it's going to replace your phone because it is a phone.
Yes,
It is a phone.
right. Well, that's the thing. It is a phone, but it's a tablet. Is it really a tablet? Is it a small?
I so
is it a-
disagree with you.
I mean, people say it's a big phone. People
It
say
is
it's
a big
small.
phone.
It's a small tablet. There's
All
so
right.
many
What do you
heated.
think? Can you get it in your pocket? Back pocket,
well,
maybe?
You know what? Listen, we yesterday I went out on the street in New York and just started showing this phone to people and got their reactions. And one of them was basically said, you cannot put this in your pocket because it is the wrong type of bulge in your pocket. So,
Ha!
that was pretty impressive.
That was
thing to
probably,
say.
I don't think we really need to see anything else about it or
Right,
hear about
right.
it because that is the one line that you really need. I mean, for
Exactly.
me, I could fit it into a back pocket, but I'm not really going to walk around with it in my back pocket. But it does fit in my purse pocket, which, as a lady who carries a purse, is the way that I carry all 17 of my phones.
Yes, and that's true. Well, that's the thing. It depends on how you use it. If you're using a tablet primarily at home, like maybe by the bedside or on the couch or something like that, this is going to look really, it's going to be smaller, a lot smaller. And if you take your tablet, a big tablet, on the train or on the plane or something like that, then this thing would actually probably be a lot more convenient, just because you're not going to bump elbows with people and start a riot wherever you travel.
Okay, now one of the characteristics of the Galaxy Note is that it's got this throwback stylus here. It's pretty small. There's also an accessory that Brian and I both got. It's called the S Pen Holder Kit. You basically just slip a stylus in here. That's an extra $50, and it comes with a stylus. And I think this one's much more comfortable. But realistically, most people who get this phone aren't then going to shell out another $50 unless they're really dedicated to it. What did you think of the stylus, and what did you think about using the stylus on this phone?
Well, so far, I haven't really had much use for it, I have to say, because I'm not really sure if I really want to be taking notes. I do want to take notes in meetings or, just to remember things. But, my handwriting is pretty bad. So,
I remember on your Man in the Street video, when you showed that the guy that you had a stylus, he was totally turned off by it. He's like, oh, God, there's a stylus? And you're like, oh, what do you think about that? And then he's just seemed, I think a lot of people think it makes it look old-fashioned.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
especially because the last time we really saw styluses, well, okay, there was the HTC Flyer
excuse me,
tablet.
that's Styli.
Styli. Styli. There was the HTC Flyer tablet, and that had one, and, But really, before that, the last time we saw them was mostly on, like, Palm phones. Yeah, with resistive touchscreens, and you couldn't really use your fingers or anything else. I think on this phone, it's okay because it's got it's basically another input method. So you can use your voice, you can still type, and the keyboard is quite large on this phone, as you can imagine, especially when you're holding it in landscape view. I actually have been taking notes on it. When I picked up the phone from Samsung, I took notes on the tab.
She can scratch Jessica.
Yeah, seriously.
Really bad handwriting.
It got a lot better when I actually switched from the paintbrush to the ballpoint pen and picked a fine tip. But there is a little bit of a delay when I'm using it, I notice. I tried to draw some pictures, and I'm not so much the artist, but there's still an issue sometimes with the sensitivity and the responsiveness. But I'm not an artist, so I really wouldn't use it for a lot of doodles unless it was to do something fun or entertain some kids or something like that. And to be honest, I personally think that if you never use the stylus, it's okay, because what you're left with is a Samsung Galaxy S2 phone that somebody spilled Miracle Grow on or overfed or something.
Injected with steroids.
Injected with steroids, exactly. I mean, it basically looks just like a larger version of the Skyrocket, which was a larger version of the Samsung Galaxy S2. It's Android 2.3 Gingerbread. It's got TouchWiz. It's got some motion controls. So I think that the stylus and the apps for that, like there are some memo apps and there are going to be some games and things like that. And also, in addition, you can use the stylus pretty much anywhere there's a text field. So if you decide you want to write in with your hand instead of typing in like CNET.com, for example, on the browser, then you can do that. But I think if you never use the stylus, you're still going to find just a perfectly good phone. It's got the 8 megapixel camera that's really good on the other Galaxy S2 phones. It's got a 2 megapixel front facing camera, 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor in here. What else am I missing? Screen, HD Super AMOLED, which is not as sharp. You may not be surprised, as it is on the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, which has a smaller screen, so the pixel density is sharper, but it's still nice. It's very nice, actually. It's just when you hold them side by side and compare them. So I think, to me, it comes down to size and how you use it. I personally think that, if you've already got a 10-inch tablet, you might take this phone more often, but it's not going to have a similar video playback viewing experience. You're going to have to turn more pages when you're reading an ebook. But if you've never had a tablet and you like a phone this large and you think it will feel comfortable in your hand, then I think that you're going to get a good phone. But I think that most people, if they're smart, should consider the size before they consider the stylus when they're thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's like a step up to folks, for folks who are considering a tablet, going from a more traditional smartphone. You're getting a lot of tablet-like features and a pretty powerful phone itself. But the whole pen thing, I don't know.
You're not sold.
Well, you know what I'd like, and I'll be real fast about this. Basically, if this is Fantasyland here, but if the screen had a almost like paper-like feel to it, that provided that kind of friction.
Like it's too glossy?
You want the resistive screen.
No. I mean, I don't want it unresponsive. I want it to, have that kind of feeling of writing on paper, for me to use it as a pen, with a pen, you know what I mean? And then, of course, it'd be great if the paper actually, the fake paper would emit light like a screen. But that's, science fiction, so.
Wow. So we saw a couple respondents, but surely you asked more people what they thought. What was the general consensus, or was there one, for the people you were asking in New York at the park?
Well, I was, we talked to 4 different people. We just ran over to the park and went, coincidentally, there's a Shake Shack right there. So,
what park was this? What park was this one?
I didn't have any vested interest there, but yeah. So we went there, and obviously it was a cold day, and there are a lot of people out there still, even so. So we talked to some folks,
It's the park
and
by
believe
the
it or
Shake
not,
Shack.
yep. And believe it or not, we talked to 4 different people. I would say 3 out of the 4 were definite iPhone users, invested in iPads and iPhones, so they were not sold on this. Though there was one person seemed to sort of one woman seemed sort of on the fence, but she did like the size. She thought the size wasn't so large and it would fit in her life. Whereas this other woman who actually was a fan of Android and had a original Galaxy S device, she actually liked it a lot and thought she would buy it immediately. So it's actually pretty mixed.
Maybe
Even
she will.
though I mean, if you look at the post that I wrote talking about the video, there are people on there who are just flaming me and just saying, what are you talking about? Why are you phrasing the question like this? Blah blah blah. You have it out for Android and all that stuff. That's not true because I use Android. I actually don't even use an iPhone. So basically, it depends on where you stand. This is like at the center of a huge controversy. Whether or not you're iPhone or iOS, or whether you're Android, whether you're a tablet user or an iPad user, pretty much, or a smartphone user and an Android user. I mean, it seems like you're at the center of this issue. What is this device? How would you use it? It's like the center of a maelstrom. So
send us your thoughts on that. Brian and I have a lot more great stories on the Galaxy Note to come, including how well it does with art, if you can indeed use it in a workplace environment to take notes, and also what it's like to live with it for a week. So more stories to come. And also, it comes in carbon blue, which almost looks black to me, ceramic white, or at least it will on Sunday, and the pink color is coming along as well. So basically, sorry, as I pause there. So basically that's AT&T, and we kind of at least we like the Samsung Galaxy Note, even though there's some question marks surrounding it. But what we don't like is the carriers being bits of Scrooges, unseasonably, with upgrade fees. So did you guys see the stories? Kent wrote one, basically a nice little tidy rant about AT&T.
Basically charging customers to be loyal.
They have confirmed that they're doubling the upgrade fee from $18 to $36, and that's on the heels of Sprint also offering, it's sort of an offer, they're offering an upgrade now for people who are not within their 2-year service agreement, or if they're still in the middle of it, then there's a rate during this promotional program of like $36 to $165 to upgrade. So what do you think about this?
So, I mean, what is the fee for? That's what I don't understand exactly. Like, are they paying you to stay with them or paying
No,
you?
you're paying them.
Yeah.
I mean, what? That's so crazy. I don't understand.
To get a better phone, or if you want to keep your contract and then have a better phone that's more high-tech than the one you have now, they will charge you $36.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
In addition to the price of the phone.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought the whole point of paying for the phone was because they already paid for most of the phone.
Right. Through
Right?
subsidies.
Yeah. So why are you paying them again? I don't understand this.
I think it has to do with patent wars. They have to pay $15 per device or something for all the patent litigation they're going through. I think they're trying to get it out of the customer somehow. That's my.
That could be true. And AT&T told Phone Scoop that since today's cell phones are more sophisticated than ever before, then the costs associated with upgrading to a new device have increased, and that's part of the upgrade fee. So I think that it definitely sounds like a litigation issue as well. However, how much does it cost? I mean, you go and you look online, like Verizon, for example, the HTC Rhyme costs $0. It is free with the new 2-year service agreement. So aren't they just encouraging churn? Which is the last thing they want.
I don't know. I'm very skeptical. Let's just say that.
It seems really backwards to me.
Yeah.
But the Sprint thing is actually a deal. Only offered at corporate locations and will run just a month from February 12th through March 14th. And Scott Webster, who wrote this piece, said, well, think about it, from the other point of view. You could be paying $500 if you bought it without a contract. So the fact that you're getting it for $200, even with an upgrade rate, even if you pick the highest upgrade rate, you're still going to save $100 or $130. And I think that's a good point. I just don't think that's how people in this country think if they've been with a carrier before who is like postpaid. So if you sign up for a 2-year contract, you're definitely, I think, expecting a certain kind of payment roster and upgrade schedule and prices associated with that.
Yeah, I mean,
My 2 cents. I think they're doing it all wrong.
That's totally ridiculous.
So, I mean, charge more for phones, I guess. But I'd rather be charged more up front and then wooed to stay with the carrier than have to keep paying hidden costs and nickeled and dimed.
Exactly. I mean, I think people should be able to vote with their feet and not be tied to contracts. And if worse comes to worse, if the phone is more expensive up front, then fine. Just as long as you can leave whenever you want and, and also swap out your device for a much better device, for a much better device if you can find one. I mean, that's much better.
So we're going to give you that food for thought, and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with quick hits and reviews. And we are back. It is dialed in. It's Valentine's Day, and we've got some news that's sparked our interest this week. First of all, will the PlayStation Vita OS land on smartphones and tablets? This is Sony's new OS coming to a handheld gaming device, and I don't know, since they bought Ericsson, or their stake in Sony Ericsson, we could possibly be seeing this in the future on smartphones. Brian, you want to take us along to the next one?
Sure, yeah. Well, we have learned that it's possible that HTC will further bring out some more details of Ice Cream Sandwich landing on a few devices. So, that would be awesome. We want more Ice Cream Sandwich wherever we can get it. And definitely check out the article if you want to learn more.
And another Apple, iPad, or iPhone rumor. This one dealing with the iPad 3. Apple will reportedly unveil iPad 3 in early March. But who knows?
I think it's probably a yes. We're definitely going to prepare for that. The Justice Department says that it is not going to stand in the way of the Google and Motorola marriage, at least according to the Wall Street Journal. So Google should jump over the last couple hurdles to buy Motorola outright.
Excellent. Well, actually, now this is the thing here. We've got Sprint here with the Nextel situation, and I'm not even sure, they've gotten rid of that service, right? So I thought it was dead already, but it officially is dead now. So let's hope that they'll be able to buy some more spectrum and modernize their service.
Yeah, 2013 was the year.
And if you couldn't get enough already about the huge Galaxy Note, there's rumor that LG will go big with a 5-inch Optimus View, which has
View or View?
View.
I'm gonna vote for View.
Okay, I like that name better. Optimus View, and it's got to have a 5-inch display, and an 8. Is it what camera?
The camera?
8 megapixels.
Yeah, an 8 megapixel camera.
Yeah. NFC support, 1.5 gigahertz processor. So we could be hearing about that at Mobile World Congress, perhaps. I don't know. Just a note: we are going to be doing our Mobile World Congress preview next week, with Mobile World Congress coming after that. And since Monday is a holiday for us, we'll be back here Tuesday at 1 o'clock, again, same time next week. But we have a little bit more of the love letter variety for this next phone. Brian took a look last week at the Motorola Droid 4, and he's going to tell us all about that.
All right, yeah. So, I mean, we just took a look at the Motorola Droid Razr Max, which was pretty awesome. But now, just a week later, Motorola came out with the Droid 4, which basically is an upgrade to the Droid 3 and essentially adds, LTE 4G data connection on Verizon's network. Costs $199.99, basically $200, and it's a great phone. Problem is, it doesn't run Ice Cream Sandwich. Comes with gingerbread. They will have support for Ice Cream Sandwich down the road. And, I mean, that's sort of a drawback. But otherwise, it's a great device. If you want a keyboard that has full 5 rows, offers great tactile feedback, and a pretty decent 8-megapixel camera on there. This phone is worth checking out, but it does feel a little bit dated because not many devices have keyboards these days. It's kind of thick, it's kind of heavy. It depends on what you want. If you really are married to a keyboard and you want an Android phone with 4G on Verizon, this is very compelling. Otherwise, you might be better off just going with the Galaxy Nexus for cutting-edge ice cream sandwich, or going over to the Droid Razr Max for incredible battery life and a very thin design.
I'm surprised because when you first saw this, you were all over this phone. You
I know.
Loved it at CES. You're like, I got it at the stage. We're going to see it. So, I mean, did you fall a little bit out of love with it after seeing the other devices?
Yes. So, I guess it's kind of fitting on Valentine's Day for me to,
change your allegiance.
To break up with this phone. Well, I mean, I guess what it was, this has been a device that people have been looking for such a long time. I know people that are addicted to keyboards. They love the original Droid, the first Droid that came out a few years ago. When was that? 2007 or whatever it was? No, 2008. Right?
I'm just going to let you sit and think about it.
It's so long ago, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was long
But anyway,
ago.
the original Droid that broke the Android barrier, everybody heard about Android through that device. They loved the keyboard. They loved the power that it had. They even could deal with the Moto Blur interface that Motorola put on Android. And it was a device that everyone just kind of near and dear to many people. And the subsequent revamps of that product line have been steadily kind of blah. So when a new device like this came out, and
by the way, it did come out originally October 17th, 2009.
2009. There you go.
2009. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's it feels like 10 years ago. But I'm sure there are people out there who still have their original Droid and still can't give it up. So if you really need that keyboard, this Droid 4 is actually the best keyboard device, Android device that I think we've seen. Period.
As long as you don't mind turning it on its side and sliding out the keyboard. I want to see more portrait QWERTYs.
Oh God, no!
Like
I don't know.
and
Like what is it? The Torch.
The Motorola Droid Pro, for example, that's an Android device.
Right,
okay,
that's
it's
true. Yeah.
Not like a super premium Android device, but definitely getting after BlackBerry there. Anyway, we also have a review. Lynn took a look at the LG Marquee for Boost Mobile, which is, would you say it's very similar to the original Sprint version?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much the same, except that it runs on Boost Mobile's carrier, so it's kind of it's prepaid, no contract, and a lot of people, if that's their style, they might really like it. It goes for $279.99, so it's the most expensive phone on Boost Mobile's website, and it has a 5-megapixel camera on the back, 2-megapixel front-facing camera, and I kind of liked it. I liked the design. It was slim and it's very light, so it could easily kind of travel with you. My only thing with it is that it's a little sluggish. The internal processor was a little slow, so when you browse the web or you transition.
What's the processor on that?
I think
was it 1 gigahertz?
Yeah, and
but it's a single
slow?
core though. Right?
Yeah, it was pretty noticeable, and but the display is really nice. It has 700 nits of brightness, just like the LG Connect 4G. So it's really, really bright, but it also drains the battery quite quickly if you use it like that.
I remember taking a look at this phone before for Sprint and comparing it with some of the other bright phones of the day, and it's interesting what people mean with brightness and color, because it is really, really bright. But the colors aren't always true. Yeah. It's interesting. There's definitely a trade-off. Sometimes you get like oversaturated color, but it's not quite as bright. But definitely, like when you hold the phones up, like they look good, and this one looks really good.
Is it almost like too bright that it's like staring at
Nothing
television?
could ever be too bright, Brian. No, it's
Well,
really
isn't
bright.
it also like 700 nits at max?
Yeah, and it's
so if you drop it down.
And then I mean, if it's too bright, you could always lower the display. But you're right about the kind of the picture quality. Some of the stuff is pixelated, and a lot of the graphics weren't as smooth as I wanted it, even though it's like a really bright screen.
Yeah. So, but definitely good for Boost Mobile. You would recommend it for anyone who's interested in that network?
I would say go for kind of a cheaper phone that Boost Mobile can offer, only because it makes really great calls. So there's that. But if you really just wanted a phone that had made really great calls on a no contract kind of basis, then
But
kind
if
of
you
check
wanted
out.
a smartphone, like a more advanced smartphone for Boost, then would you recommend this one?
Sure, I guess.
Sure.
Sure. I mean,
Well, there you go. So we also took a look at the BlackBerry Curve 9370 for Verizon. That's the sort of entry-level 3G phone with some world capabilities. So it's got a SIM card, GSM SIM card. Also, I looked at the Samsung SPH M370 for Sprint. That's a basic flip phone. I mean, that's real basic. It did make very good calls. It's $20, so I would recommend that. And then Brian checked out the Jabra Supreme Bluetooth headset. You can find all of those full reviews on CNET.com. And did you guys get any email this week?
nope.
I didn't either.
No, I
got
don't
a
know what's
little-
going on here.
I got a little tiny bit of personal email. I got an email from a coworker here who was really cute. He's like, "Hi, I don't mean to annoy you. You probably get these questions all the time, but my wife's looking for a new phone on Verizon. She's willing to spend this range. What can you recommend? I'm sure it's on the site, but I really hope I'm not annoying you." And I'm like, "This is what we're here for. Of course you're not annoying me." So if you're curious, I recommended. She will use it primarily since she's a commuter and she drives to work and back. She would use it primarily for navigation. So the voice readout is really important, and that's sort of like the deciding feature for her between like iPhone and Android, essentially. Although I did mention that Windows Phone has that as well. It does have voice readout with Bing Maps. But for Android, I recommended the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, just because of the ice cream sandwich experience, and they don't flip their phones a lot. They're going to keep it for 2 years. So it seems like a good phone that will last the whole 2 years.
It'll also probably get all the updates too, like
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, no delays and stuff.
And I actually also recommended the HTC Rhyme because it is free right now, and her needs are actually very few. She wants a phone that she likes the look of, that will do the voice readouts for directions, turn by turn nav, and that's every Android phone. And so it's a nice device, and I don't really think she's that much into charms, but if she doesn't mind a smaller screen, then it's fun to get a phone for free rather than paying $300 for one, right?
Go figure.
Everybody likes free things.
And a great set of headphones too in there.
So we'll see what she winds up with. But if you have other questions or anything, or want to keep us company, or like to hear your name on the air, then send us an email, dialedin@cnet.com. Leave us a voicemail. We will probably play it at 1-866-402-2638. You can read all of our amazing, wonderful, and insightful blog posts at dialedin.cnet.com, especially if you are interested in the Samsung Galaxy Note. We're going to have a lot of coverage this week. And check out all the other podcasts at podcast.cnet.com. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Stick with us next week for our Mobile World Congress preview, and take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.
So he pushed a few buttons again.